Hello and welcome to the Surface Hub 2S webinar. My name is Joe Dalecki, Principal Program Manager here at unifiedcommunications.com. And I'm really excited today to walk you through some of our favorite use cases for Surface Hub 2S, along with Microsoft Teams rooms as well. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Let me look at the agenda real quick here. And for this agenda, what we're going to do is we're going to look at 3 top use cases for Surface Hub, which means we're going to look at co-authoring with the whiteboard and how we get the best experience with our coworkers and colleagues around the world co-authoring on the Microsoft whiteboard. We'll also take a look at how we use Surface Hub for face-to-face meetings with Microsoft Teams. Then we'll look at how we pair Surface Hub with Microsoft Teams rooms for that coordinated joint experience. Finally, at the end, stick around for a Q&A. So as we go through all of these particular use cases, feel free to put your questions in chat or in the Q&A box, and we'll go ahead and answer those at the end. There'll be about 15 minutes of live Q&A at the end. So go ahead and use that, and also be talking to you there as well. So if you have questions and anything you want to add, feel free to put those in there as well. So we really want to showcase how Microsoft has brought Surface Hub 2S and helps us get work done. And we're really excited to show you these use cases. And then we'll talk a lot about how unifiedcommunications.com is adding Surface Hub to its portfolio and helping companies around the world really leverage these capabilities for themselves. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the whiteboard. So as you can see, I took the liberty of creating a Christmas-themed whiteboard here with Surface Hub 2S, and we're going to dive in and take a look at some of our nice whiteboard examples. Now, I've been using Surface Hub for the better part of about 4.5 years, since Whiteboard and Microsoft Surface Hub really launched. And I've seen all the changes come about, and I've seen all the upgrades, and Microsoft has really added a lot of features here. And so one of the best things about this is that I've been able to talk to thousands of end users in just about every industry and every vertical. And what I've done today is I've pulled together just a number of great use cases that I see for co-authoring on the whiteboard. And so I'll walk you through all of my favorite use cases. But as I do that, feel free to go ahead and put in the Q&A some of your favorite use cases that you see, and we'll talk about those later. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into some of my favorite all-time whiteboarding use cases. So I've got this whiteboard here, and I've got it shared with some people. And so they'll go ahead and work with me as I go through here. We'll be able to see some of the co-authoring capabilities here. And so the first thing I did was I went to the NFL, and I talked to some of the teams, and I said, the whiteboard makes perfect sense for locker rooms, right? So we want to design the perfect play. So we're in the locker room, we're at halftime, and we've got to come up with the perfect play. So what I did was I brought in an image here, and I just used my Bing image search, and I searched for football field. And it brought up my football field images, and I was able to bring up the field itself. So now I have an image that I can write on. So let's go ahead and design our play. We need our X's and O's, right? So I'm going to draw up my play. And we're going to run our play from here on scrimmage, right? And our play is going to run out here. This guy's going to run over here. This guy's going to run out here, come back on a hook, and we're going to block this way. Now, the defense might be saying, well, we're going to blitz here and drop back and try to cover into zone coverage out here. So we can write this up right on the football field. If we don't like this play, we can just erase that and start over. We'll say, cut in on a hook there, right? So we could design the perfect play. Now, for those of you in America, this is American football, but of course we might want to set up on the soccer field as well. So we might be setting up for real football where we have our offense, our defense, and our goalie, and we're going to design some plays here on the soccer field as well, on the pitch. All right, so we know we can use the whiteboard for a number of different use cases. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we might have an effective meeting using Surface Hub. The nice thing about this is that when we're using Surface Hub, we have the built-in templates here. So templates template preview, and now we're able to bring up meeting templates. So let's say we're having a brainstorming meeting or a Kanban meeting. We can start with a pre-formatted template of the meeting's agenda and style. So for here, what I've done is I've brought in an effective meeting template, which gives me the starting points of the agenda, the follow-ups, and some sticky notes. Now, what's nice about this is we can add to this. Now, I can see David is moving some stuff around here. So I'm co-authoring with David here. And so if I start adding things to the parking lot here, like we need to up the Q&A here. We need to put that up as a whiteboard. Maybe we can select another one here and change the color. So this is something that's maybe a different format. And we can add content to our sticky notes as well. So when we go through, maybe we have to follow up. And so we've got to create a task item here. So this is going to be a follow-up to plan the next webinar. And when we type in here, oops, there we go. Bring this right back up. There we go. We're going to plan the next webinar. And we'll assign this to David. So I'll assign this over here to David. And so now we have our follow-up meeting. Everything is ready to go. When we've walked through the agenda and we've finished our follow-ups, everyone knows what's assigned to them. If we want to, we can vote by liking our task here within the assignments. And so things are working, and we're able to move through that agenda very quickly and easily. I can see there's some likes here on my sticky notes as well. And what's nice about this is I can start adding more sticky notes. So if we need to, we can start adding more sticky notes to this or any other area of the whiteboard. And this could just be a whiteboard filled with sticky notes for helping me manage my project. So that's my effective meeting. Now, if you like any of these use cases, feel free to let us know in the Q&A. Now, one thing that I really like here is being able to bring in images and convert them to ink. Now, I could design my home office here, and I could start writing directly on this image if I want to turn bedroom 3 into my home office over here. But I could also convert this entire image to ink. And so when I do that here, I want to select the image and select my magic wand tool here to magically turn this image into ink. And now I can actually rearrange some of this. If I want to cut out the walls here, I can just start erasing. And I can turn this whole wing of the house into my office. How about that? I'd rather have the much bigger office. So now I've got my office here, doorway here, and now I've got this whole room converted into my home office. That sounds a lot better to me, right? So now I've got my office over here. I've got the sitting area over here with my coffee table, and I've got my chair over here. Of course, I've got my Surface Hub in the corner where I can use it at home as well, right? So being able to turn any image that's high contrast, maybe it's a floor plan, maybe it's your office plan, and turning that into ink so that you can edit and work with it as ink really helps to take your meetings to the next level. So we talked about effective meetings. Let's go ahead down here now and take a look at our website design meeting. Hey, it looks like David added some notes here. This looks good. We can discuss some of the changes. Let's go ahead and add some tweaks here. So I brought in an image by bringing up the website. So all I did was go to Microsoft Edge and take a screenshot from here using the clip tool. And now I'm able to bring that image in to the whiteboard. So now I've got the image here on the whiteboard, and I can start editing and adding some notes. So I'm going to add some notes here. Surface Hub 2S, that's a great launch picture there. But maybe we make this a little bit wider, so we're going to expand that image there. And we're going to swap these two together. So we're going to swap these sections maybe. And as we go through here, we've got the chat. So we want to talk about here, who is responding right on the chat. We've got our phone numbers up here. And so we're able to edit our website and make some changes here. Now, David is in charge of the website, so he could be adding down here. You can see, thanks for making those suggestions. So David is on the call and he's able to co-author with me and move things around so I can see that we're working in real time to actually get things done. All right. Great. Thanks, David. And now we're going to go over here and take a look at another one of my favorite ways to use the whiteboard. And that's with designing a book. So what I've done with Surface Hub over the last few years is I've written a number of guides to how to use Surface Hub in your meetings. And when I'm writing those guides, a lot of times, I'm moving content around, I'm editing. And so what's nice about this is I can bring that Word document by using the insert button and insert Word document here. I can bring that into my whiteboard. And now as images, I have all the pages of my book. And I can go ahead and maybe change the formatting. I could say, well, this is going to be bold. And this needs to be a quote. So this is going to be inserted. This is going to be centered. And so we could have things arranged here, and then I could go through and make all those changes in the book itself. And part of the review process would be to bring it up and make sure everything looks right, and then go through and start making all those changes. But bringing it up in the whiteboard, inserting all of the pages allows me and my whole team to start making those types of commentary as we go through and review the design of the book. And you can do this with Word documents, PowerPoints, and PDFs as well. So it's all part of that content piece that we can bring into the whiteboard together. There's a number of different ways here that we use the whiteboard, as you can see. And one of my favorite ways, again, is to plan a large event. So let's go over here and take a look at this image that I brought in from downtown Houston, where we're at here at the Unified Communications headquarters. And what I've done here is I've brought in an image from the Maps application, which is useful for looking at 3D images of downtown. And so what I've done is I've brought in this 3D image from the Maps, which gives me that bird's eye view of the Toyota Center here downtown. And now I'm able to draw directly on it because it's part of my whiteboard. And so if David and I are working on, how we might work around planning a large event for Unified Communications downtown, we might start just writing out, where people are going to park. And so people are going to be parking over here, but we're going to section off a place here for drop off. So this is going to be where we have people dropping off in the parking lot. And then we're going to have a section over here for registration. And we can write this all out right on the whiteboard here and map it out as if we were there walking around looking at the building. So we're able to really define this and use the image of the maps to map out where this goes. And then what's nice about this is I can send this out to anyone that needs it, anyone that really wants to review it. So I can take this and send it out. Now the last one here, well, the next to last, I should say, is one of my all-time favorites, is because it's a great way to showcase how this canvas really works. And when we think about the Microsoft whiteboard and some of the ways we use it versus a traditional whiteboard, and if this were our flow chart for a go-to-market launch, if we were drawing on a traditional whiteboard, we might make all of these shapes and interact with them, and maybe our flow chart would be really complicated and designed with branching and all of that. And we realized, a half an hour into that meeting, that we have to add a step right in the middle. Well, on a traditional whiteboard, we'd have to erase a bunch of things or draw a bunch of arrows and squeeze it in, maybe over here, and add in our shapes and arrows to squeeze that shape in. But we don't have to do that here. We can just select. So the nice thing about this is it comes with this pen, and the pen allows me to easily select objects. So all I do is press the side button here, and I'm going to circle all of these shapes here and just move them down to create some more space. So I love this about flowchart design on the whiteboard, is because it gives us a way to easily create more space here. So if I need to add an extra step here, I can do that on my whiteboard just by moving things around and adding in a step. So what's nice about this is it's an infinite canvas. So my flowchart could be extremely complicated, take up more room here, and we could zoom out and get a bird's eye view. And when I do that, I can see all of my use cases here on the whiteboard at one time. So I can see everything that we're doing. I can see where other people are working. So David and Ryan might be in here and they might be working on some other area while I'm working on the book or the flowchart. And I can see changes happening live. So we're expecting to have registration checkpoints throughout the facility, right? So as people are adding notes and people are adding content and moving things around, we can work together and have a great co-authoring experience using the whiteboard. Now, if I need to add someone else to this, I can go over here and I can say, well, let's go ahead and add Megan. And so we can add more people to it very easily. And I can say whether or not, she can edit or read only. So if I give her permission to edit, then she'll be able to add content to the whiteboard. But if I just want her to read it and see what we're doing here, I can say, make that read only. All right. Well, we've taken a look at almost all the use cases. I have one more that I really like, and that's for design. And for those of you who are really creative and love to just draw and sketch and map out ideas, this is a great way to use Surface Hub. And so I've taken the liberty of sketching out a car design. You might be able to tell what kind of car this is. And so what I did was I brought up an image and I was able to sketch a copy of that car. I didn't draw this from memory. I'm not that good of an artist, but I was able to bring up an image and sketch it. And so this gives us the creative opportunity here to say, well, maybe we want to add some flair here. So I'm going to bring up my red pen and we could add some more design elements here in the grill. Maybe we want to make this piece here longer on the door. And maybe we want to add some rear air spoilers or diffusers. And we could even say, well, this is a removable roof, but we could add and say, well, let's just make this a convertible. And we'll just take the roof off altogether. And now we've got ourselves a convertible, right? So we can add this, move this around and tweak this and make this a much better design. Now to show you how I did this, all I did, right, I've got my image here and all I did was draw and sketch and trace right over top of the image. So if I do this, you'll see when I marry the two back together, this is how I did it. For all you non-artists out there, this is the gold mine right here, being able to draw even though you can't draw. So you can see here I was able to sketch this image from any other image and then bring the ink separate the ink from the image and have that be my art. So now you can see it's all married up. And so if I zoom in here, you can see the trace work of the car, right? So car design, but really any type of object or product design goes hand in hand with this. A nice picture of the product and then trace that with the pen and separate the ink from the picture by selecting it and then drag it away from the picture. Okay. So really cool use cases. Let me know in the Q&A what your favorite use cases for the whiteboard are. I'm eager to see what everyone says their favorite use cases for whiteboard are. And maybe if you haven't tried Microsoft Whiteboard yet, give it a try and try out some of these use cases that we've walked through here, because I think you'll find there's a use case for you and you're going to be addicted to it just like I am. All right. Perfect. Now, let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit to use the car metaphor, and we'll talk about face-to-face meetings. Now, we've been sort of co-authoring together, and David and I have been working together on these whiteboards, but we also have a great face-to-face video experience. And so what I want to do is I want to bring up my Teams meeting here, where I've got David and Ryan on the call here. And so we've got this face-to-face video panel where everybody can say hi to David and Ryan. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to full screen video mode here. And what's nice about this is now I can have a face-to-face meeting with David and Ryan, and we're able to exchange ideas, but also have that great user interaction and engagement that even though we're not in the same room. I'm here at headquarters, I'm in the conference room, and they're at home in separate cities. And so David's over in Las Vegas, but we're still able to have that great video experience live on Service Hub. So Ryan, say hi.
Hello. Hey everybody, sorry, I was muted. I'm sitting here in my Airstream, just enjoying the presentation, Joe.
Yeah, lovely background there. David's using background blur. Say hi, David.
Hey everyone. Hello from Las Vegas.
Yeah. So this is great because now we really are able to have that face-to-face experience, and you guys look super clear. I'm really able to see that you're engaged and you're part of this meeting that we're having. So this is a great experience for me because if I've got the Surface Hub at the office or at home, the video is super clear and I'm able to have a great face-to-face meeting experience. If we were planning out something where, I really wanted to have a back and forth conversation or dialogue, this is a great way to do that because now we're able to see, facial expressions and see if everything that I'm saying is making sense to the audience. So it's a big step up over just an audio call because on an audio call, of course, we don't know if what we're saying is making sense or sinking in, and we don't really know if they have questions and they're not asking. We can't really tell from the facial expressions if they're really understanding what we're saying. So this is a great way. I can see Ryan's nodding. So we're having a great face-to-face meeting experience. Of course, I can see my video here, so you can see the video set up here on the hub as well. But up to 3x3 tiled videos here, so on the Surface Hub currently, and then together mode and large gallery mode is large mode available as well, coming soon for Surface Hub. So adding features to this Teams environment here to really make meetings super engaging. So as we added people to this meeting, you would see it go up to 9 video feeds currently displayed. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So again, we can switch back over to content and video easily with one button press on the Surface Hub. So we've still got video, but now we've got content here, and I can share that screen again if I need to. I can start working on the whiteboard. David and Ryan are part of the whiteboard that we had up earlier, and so we can go back and keep working on that together as well. And they can stay, if they're on video here, we're able to have that face-to-face dialogue while we're still working on the same whiteboard together. So all of this is happening within a Teams meeting, all of this video chat and whiteboarding and co-authoring, all happening live within a meeting. And so we're able to not only exchange ideas, but actually get more work done within that meeting rather than just planning another meeting for later to get stuff done. So really nice setup here. We'll go ahead and minimize this for a second here while we switch gears and talk about coordinated join. Now, this is a relatively new feature that does require some setup, but once it's set up, everything really works effortlessly. So for example, let's talk about the meeting join experience now. When users walk into a meeting room and you have a Microsoft Teams room device or a Surface Hub, you walk up and you press join, or you use what's called proximity join to join from your mobile device or laptop. And you can see close rooms that are in the area, Surface Hubs that are in the room, and you can take your meeting on that device. But with coordinated join now, we're able to marry the two together and use Surface Hub in coordination with Microsoft Teams Room. So over here, you can see I've got a Microsoft Teams Room device. And in this particular room, we have ceiling microphones and speakers. This is a very large room. This is a modular room, so it's a multi-purpose room. The tables in here can be moved around. And so this is an integrated room with in-room ceiling microphones and speakers. We've got the Logitech Rally camera over here, which really has the wide angle view of everyone in the room. And so what we want to be able to do is marry the technologies together using coordinated join. And with Microsoft's new feature, we're able to do that. And some of you might have seen this. Some of this might be relatively new for some of you. And so what we're able to do is we're actually able to invite just the room device to a meeting or just the Surface Hub to the meeting, and have the two devices join the same meeting with one touch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to leave this meeting. So we've left that meeting there. And I can see here on the calendar, we have coordinated join demo. Over here on the MTR, Microsoft Teams room device, we have the coordinated join meeting as well. And so by inviting these devices to the meeting, it shows up on the calendar, but I don't have to actually physically join the device from both devices. Now, the other common issue that this solves is the issue of which device is going to be the audio device, because as we know, when more than one audio device joins a meeting, then it's going to have that audio echo effect in that room. And nobody really wants to experience that as if they can help it. So what's nice about this is we're able to set this up where only one device is the audio device, and the Surface Hub in this case would be the content device. So the whiteboard would be available from Surface Hub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and this is our primary device here. I'm going to join the coordinated join demo. And so the MTR is going to pop in, the camera is going to start back here. And I'll mute here. And you can notice here that the Surface Hub has joined automatically, but the audio option is off. And I can share my screen. That'll come up here on the screen behind me. And I can even, so now I can share content. I've got my design the perfect place. So the whiteboard is the content now, but the audio is coming from the room. So the room audio, ceiling, microphones, and speakers are providing the audio for the meeting. I come over here, I can control that from the device here. I can mute the speakers or turn the volume up and down, mute the microphone, and so on. And the camera's on here, so you can see the camera on behind me down here. But so the Microsoft Teams rooms provide the meeting room experience, and the Surface Hub automatically joins muted, so it doesn't have that echo effect, which is nice. And this can be set up easily from the settings on the Microsoft Teams room device, and then by configuring the hub to accept that incoming call automatically. So it's a really nice feature for being able to bring in room devices, Surface Hubs together if they're in the same room to have that coordinated join meeting experience. Number of different ways to use this as well. So if you have a huddle space where you've got maybe a Microsoft Teams room for the audio, all the way to the executive conference room or multi-purpose room as well. Maybe you have Hub Mobile and you wheel that in for that coordinated join experience. And so there's just a number of different ways that we see this really helping. We use it here in a number of our conference rooms as well. And it's just been a great way to have the audio experience with the hub. We use it for all of our planning meetings. We have a number of large meetings, and not everyone's able to attend in the office, as we know. So with the meeting joining experience that we have now, the remote participants get that same meeting experience as if they were sitting in the room with us. And last but not least, I want to talk about how we're really offering some services around Surface Hub. And for those of you who are new to Surface Hub, it might help to get an environment assessment. So for example, Unified Communications is offering some free services to of your choice to anyone that buys Surface Hub. And so these are complimentary services for those who are new to Surface Hub and want to find out if it fits into their environment or what it might take to make Surface Hub work in their environment. It is, of course, designed to be very user-friendly, but you might just need a little bit of help just making sure that your environment is ready for Surface Hub. And so envisioning how it might work with some of your other technologies is really helpful. And so we offer the environment assessment. And then for those who are probably, had some Surface Hubs before, maybe Surface Hub 1, and want some help getting Surface Hub 2 installed, we will offer virtual installation as well. And then maybe, Surface Hub isn't that new, Modern Workplace isn't that new, but you want to find out how to really dive in and start using Surface Hub. We also offer free virtual adoption. So there's a number of ways to get started with Surface Hub right off the bat, hit the ground running, and dive all the way in with Modern Workplace and modern co-authoring and collaboration powered by Surface Hub here. Let us know how we can help with that, and feel free to enter any questions about that in chat as well. So as we start to wrap up here, I want to go over to the Q&A. and we'll see if there's any questions here that we have popping up. So I'm going to leave this and go back to our meeting that we were in before so I can bring up the whiteboard. All right. All right. So now let's go over here and look at our Q&A board here. Now, did we have any questions come in?
We have some questions that have come in, Joe, and so the first one that I am publishing, it relates to what happens to the whiteboard if you don't sign into the app. And so I think the question around whiteboard and the new Easy Share feature to make sure people kind of understand that experience if you're signed in or not signed in.
Right. Perfect question. Yeah. So as you can see, I'm currently signed in on the whiteboard. And so up here, you can see I've got my account added here. But what if I just walk up and start using Surface Hub without signing in? Well, you're going to see an option here for Easy Share if you're not signed in. And so what that's going to look like, it's going to look like a save and share button. So if you're not signed in on the whiteboard and you've started drawing already, you have a couple of options. The first option would be simply sign in. And if you sign in, then that whiteboard gets added to your available whiteboards that you've worked on. You also have the option of exporting the whiteboard from the menu. So I can export and email this whiteboard as an attachment to an email. So I could say email, and we'll email the whiteboard out and save it that way. The other option is to press the save and share button. And when I save and share, I can include myself. As soon as I include myself, then it adds it to my whiteboards and I'm able to share it. So I'll get an email, it'll say the Surface Hub has shared a whiteboard with you, and that becomes one of your whiteboards even after the session is over. So you're able to keep working on that whiteboard going forward. So you don't have to take that whole step of signing in with your credentials. If you use the save and share button, you can actually just save it to yourself, email it to yourself that way, include yourself, and then it will become one of your whiteboards. So really 3 different options there for saving the whiteboard. Of course, you want to do at least one of those 3 before you press end session. And that's where it will erase the whiteboard from the hub. So if you do walk up and start drawing and you walk away without doing one of those 3 options, either signing in, saving it, sharing it to yourself, or emailing it, then that whiteboard will get erased from the hub. So really good to point out there. Yep.
I popped our next question in to the whiteboard.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect. So especially during pandemic times, co-authoring is making the difference. I just wish that this would work across companies. Today, I can only do that with colleagues in the same tenant. Do you have an idea when whiteboard will work across tenants? Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, so whiteboard cross-tenant has been requested as probably the most commonly requested feature that is coming. And I don't have the exact date on when it's coming, but I know it's high on the list of functionality that they're planning to deliver and expect it to be coming relatively soon.
It is one of the #1 features that I've been asked about too, especially as I've been traveling around saying, hey, can I share this whiteboard with someone, maybe a colleague that's not working for the company, or an external partner, and really working on those types of ideas together. So yeah, very, very high on the feature request board, again, rolling out, and Microsoft is bringing that to whiteboard as well. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Here comes question number 3.
Okay. So my main use case is an executive office. He has his own computer, but often has other people in his office also. Okay, so there's a number of different options here you might want to consider. First of all, I mentioned Microsoft Teams rooms, and of course that's always an option, but for Surface Hub, you also have an option of converting the Surface Hub over to executive use. And what we mean by that is converting it from this operating system here, Windows 10 Team Edition, over to full Windows 10 enterprise, or professional. And when you do that, it becomes a personal PC. So right now, this is a group use device that anyone can walk up and start using. For when you convert the Surface Hub to Windows 10 Enterprise or Pro, it really becomes a user PC, and that's when you have to authenticate when to use it, and it becomes a full Windows PC that can run all the Windows applications. So for the executive office, you might want to consider using a Surface Hub as that PC experience rather than the Surface Hub experience, because it's not really a meeting space. It could still be used. You could still use Microsoft Teams on it. Of course, it's a Windows PC, and join meetings and have the camera hooked up to it and everything else that you're using for your meetings to bring other people in. But again, it's just a different user experience. So right, user experience versus group use device. So when we think about Surface Hub, we think, oh, it's just walk up and use, but for the executive office, you might want to consider converting a Surface Hub into that Windows 10 Pro Enterprise mode. Number 4 from Jimmy, are you running the Team 2020 update on your Surface Hub 2? Have you installed Windows 10 Pro on one yet? Yes, we are running the 2020 update, and it's a good question because right now Microsoft has acknowledged there's a few things that they're finishing up with that update, and so they have been really taking a very close look at some of the features that they're rolling out as part of the 2020 update. So right now it is a manual update for those of us in North America. We can download the image and load it onto the Surface Hub manually via a USB drive. And so that update will be coming out soon automatically through Windows Update. You'll be able to update there, but right now we are installing via USB. So we are running the new update on our Surface Hubs, and we have installed Windows 10 Pro on a Surface Hub as well. It does work just like you would expect. You have to install the drivers to make sure you can use all the internal components and the touch screen and the camera and all that, but it does convert it into basically a 50-inch Surface PC at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So Joe, I guess let's maybe just talk for a moment about the use case for that. That running Windows 10 Pro on a device where we see that being really, really useful. For example, inside an executive office where they just want the ability to install any application. Maybe they don't get the kind of curated experience that we love about Surface Hub and shared spaces is not working the way they want it to work. They really just want they want a touch-enabled, high-quality integrated experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's a number of different reasons why that might make sense. And for those of you who might not be aware of what Surface Hub does, for example, Surface Hub runs store applications. So it's similar to running Windows 10 in S mode where you can only install applications from the store. But if you really need to install line of business applications, third-party applications that aren't available for Surface Hub, or 32-bit applications that only run on Windows 10 as part of your day-to-day work environment and workflow, then Windows 10 Pro and Enterprise make more sense, especially for the empowered executive who works from the office or works from home, either way, and just always uses that same device, and it's never anyone else walking in and signing in and joining meetings from it. So if it's not a reservable device, if it's a personal use device, if it's in an executive office, and for those of you who work in IT security, and a lot of times, Surface Hub might not fit in with your security parameters because of how you need to manage devices. And so Microsoft has acknowledged that there's a need for a lot of large enterprise customers who want to be able to specifically install their security management programs onto everything that runs Windows, including Surface Hub. And so we see that come into play as well. So you'll be able to
it's a really interesting balance because we love, and Surface Hub was designed specifically not to install software from a security perspective, right? So I think we know for most customers, the way it ships with the curated experience and click to join and the guardrails and just this great canvas into 365 is the right choice. And then there's a subset of folks where having this option to install full Windows 10 can really be powerful, particularly as this becomes the line. This could be at home, this could be in an executive office. those types of scenarios where that might actually be a better choice for them. Great. And I just dropped another question in.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. All right, so number 5 from Doug. One of the use cases I'm considering for Surface Hub is a large MTR room. In a large MTR room is that if we have someone presenting at the front, we could pivot the hub and use the camera on it. Do you think that would work? I saw one video on YouTube that mentioned the camera would be allowed while keeping audio blocked, and that is correct. You can use the camera. So right now the camera on my hub is off, but I can still turn the camera on. And when I turn the camera on, you can see me standing here in front of the hub. And so down here in the bottom corner, I do have the video on. So if you do have, let's say it's a large MTR room, you have someone presenting at the front, you could pivot the hub and use the camera on it, yes. So you still use the camera on the hub in the coordinated join setup, and it still leaves the audio off. So the audio is blocked from the Surface Hub, and all I did was turn the camera on and off on the hub. So yes, definitely an option where you have the Microsoft Teams rooms for audio and you want to use the camera on the hub, you can do that as well. Yeah, great question. Anything else there?
We do, actually. Let me drop another question in. We have question number 6 that just came in. And this relates to an executive install. So using that Windows 10 Pro option, the question would be, if there were other laptops in the room, how would they share into the meeting? And so maybe Joe, you could take this just using Teams to share. Yep.
Yeah, so do you have problems with them using their laptop to share also in the meeting in the same room? Yeah, this is a great question. So this is where you have content that you want to share into the meeting, but it's on your laptop, it's on your personal device. So you've brought your own device into the meeting room, you're using the Surface Hub with the Surface Hub OS, and you have a couple different options here. So one thing I didn't talk about, remember I said we're going to focus on 3 really powerful use cases. Well, the one use case I didn't mention was the Miracast option, where you can share your screen and connect wirelessly. So you have a couple different ways to bring content into the meeting. If you're in the room with the Surface Hub and your laptop, and the Surface Hub is in the Teams meeting, yes, you can join the Teams meeting from the laptop and share it into the room. You can also just walk into the room using Miracast to connect and share content that way. So for the executive install option with the Surface Hub OS, using the laptop, all you would do then at that point, assuming it's not a Teams meeting and you just want to bring content from your laptop up onto the Surface Hub screen, then the option it would be Miracast with Connect built into Windows 10. And using that option, you can connect here. So on my Surface Pro, for example, on my laptop here, I would just swipe in from the right, select Connect, or press the Windows plus K keyboard shortcut to bring up Connect, and then that would bring up Miracast automatically. And here I can see Connect. It would just bring this up and ready for me to connect wirelessly. So that's the option.
So the one thing, and I wasn't sure if they, by executive scenario, if they meant running Windows 10 Pro. If you ran Windows 10 Pro on it, then that built-in Miracast function, it really, at that point, it works just like any other Windows 10 device. So it doesn't necessarily have that same kind of connect workflow. I mean, there are ways to do that between Windows devices, but I think the easiest way potentially to do this would be just connect to the Teams meeting and share content, which is becoming just the mainstream way to share content in general, whether it's with any Microsoft native Teams device, whether it's a Teams room or for Windows or Android or a Surface Hub. Just join that meeting and share content. There's guardrails built into Teams that allow you to very simply join from a content-only perspective, where you're not worried about an echo in the room, but just leveraging that device, sitting anywhere, not connecting to a cable, and not even having to depend on a technology like Miracast.
Right. Exactly. I did take this part to mean it was still the Surface Hub OS with Miracast, but yes, you have both options.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, looking at it. So yeah, with Surface Hub OS, you have that.
Yeah. Good. Yep. So perfect. Yeah. So you have a couple options there, and both work really well. And it's very easy to share content up on the screen on the hub, whether you're in a meeting or not. And then if you do happen to be sharing your screen, you can always just pop into a Teams call from the hub and share the screen from the hub. So the laptop could be using Miracast to get the content up onto the hub screen, and then the hub joins a Teams meeting and you just present from the hub. And so both of those work. You get to drive the content from either the hub or the laptop. With Miracast, you can still use the touchscreen and use the touchscreen to control your connected device. So you get that touchback and inkback work mode where you get to use Surface Hub as your touchscreen device. So as an example here in the executive install option, instead of converting the Surface Hub to Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise, you just connect from your laptop, which is running Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise using Miracast, enable the touchback and inkback feature, and now you just have a touch screen for your laptop. And your laptop is where everything happens, but you're able to use the Surface Hub touchscreen and inking and drawing capabilities to run all of your apps and everything that runs on your Windows PC laptop. So yeah, great question there, and something that comes up a lot, and we always try to reference as well. Question 7. Do you know if the Surface Hub 2 85 is still set to release in January 2021? Yes. So we're taking pre-orders now for the Surface Hub 85-inch. It's ready to be released. Ryan, anything you wanted to add
I'll
there?
say it is definitely on track for shipping in January. Having said that, it is possible that the demand in January, like the initial devices that come in January, might sell out pretty quickly in January. And so I think if somebody is looking for a device in January, now would be the time to place those orders. And there is a pre-order mechanism that is available, and 100% on track.
Perfect. Yeah. Great question. Thanks for asking that. Question 8. Is Surface Hub home office friendly? Now, this is a great question. I think we've talked a lot about how we might use Surface Hub both in the office and at home. I personally have a Surface Hub in my home office as well, and it's a great tool for home office meetings. Of course, with the 4K camera built in and great audio experience, I'm able to join and have Teams meetings from my home office using the touchscreen whiteboard, using the Surface Hub pen. I'm able to have a great meeting experience at home as well. Of course, I love the built-in shelf and the battery backup, so I can move the hub around in the office as well, depending on what I'm doing. Maybe, I'm doing a training or a presentation. So there's a lot of different ways I can use the hub in the home office, which really make it user-friendly. We also talked about some of the other ways we might use it at home, right, by converting it to Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise. And so there's a number of different ways we use it there. And thanks for asking. Yeah, Surface Hub is definitely home office friendly, and I love using it there. Question 9, can I add other speakers and microphones to the Surface Hub without adding a Teams room? So yes, you can add other peripherals to the Surface Hub and use other audio devices instead of the built-in camera or built-in speakers and microphone. And so yes, you can definitely do that by plugging in any USB certified Teams audio device to the Surface Hub, and then selecting that from your device settings to use that other audio peripheral. Yes, you can do that. So you don't need to add a Teams room. It certainly is nice if you have a dedicated meeting space to have that one-touch experience on the conference room table and have that ability to present content on the front of room displays. So for those types of spaces, the coordinated join might make more sense. But of course, yeah, for some spaces, you might just want to add a camera, a speaker, a microphone setup and use that in conjunction with Surface Hub. So yeah. Question 10, what applications are available on the Surface Hub? So great question. Yeah, there is the App Store for Surface Hub. It's a curated list of applications. So there's educational applications, there's PDF markup applications. There are a number of different applications that are available for drawing. So depending on the type of artist creativity types of drawings that you do, there are apps that are designed specifically for that, like Collabboard or Mural, where you can coordinate and add more content to a canvas and lay things out in a certain way, and then have that all be visible to and active for people around the world on your team. So yes, there are a number of different applications available. For example, there's a lot that are built in. So when I go to my apps, I can see Power BI, for example, is built in, and Maps and other apps. So the new Edge Chromium browser is available as well. So there are a number of apps that come built in. Then there's apps that are available in the Microsoft Store, and that store is a curated list of apps that are only accessible on Surface Hub. So maybe Mural is one that would be up your alley. Maybe one of the PDF markup apps if you're doing a lot of architectural drawings. I've seen it, Bullclip used for PDF markup. So yeah, there's a number of applications, 3D applications, educational applications for looking at science type stuff and that type of thing too. So yeah, great tools to keep in mind and explore on Hub. We've got another question here. Looks like if I'm signed in, trying to read the small version, I can zoom in. If I'm signed in, does the Surface Hub automatically sign me out? If I'm signed in, does the Surface Hub automatically sign me out? It's a great question too. So normally the experience would be walk up and join. And so when I start the meeting or just walk up and start using it, the Surface Hub doesn't know who I am. When I walk up and start using the buttons and pressing the buttons here and joining a meeting or opening the whiteboard, at first, the Surface Hub doesn't know who I am. Of course, I can always sign in here and access my meetings and access my files, or sign into the whiteboard and access my whiteboards. So when I'm signed in, does the Surface Hub automatically sign me out? Yes, but you have to press end session. So down at the bottom here, depending on how your organization has configured your Surface Hub, you will need to press end session to have the Surface Hub sign you out. Now, the default behavior is that the Surface Hub would not automatically end your session if you walk away. So if I walk away right now, this Surface Hub would stay here. It would stay signed in. It would still have me signed in here on the whiteboard. And if I walk away without pressing end session, the Surface Hub is going to stay signed in until the end of the day. And so anyone could walk up and start accessing my content here while I'm signed in. So I want to make sure that if my Surface Hub is configured to allow anyone to come in and resume a session, that I would want to press end session here and end the session. That would reset the Surface Hub back to the welcome screen, and it would be ready for the next group or user to walk up and start using it. So if you are signed in, remember to press end session. That will automatically sign you out of every application that you had open and sign you out of the Surface Hub altogether.
And Joe, if they, from a security perspective, if we wanted it to automatically, I walk away, I wanted to end the session, maybe you could speak to that as well. So I think there's kind of two scenarios there. This may be in my office, and I want to be able to come back and not have it count down and everything is gone. But let's say we have it in a shared space where we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. That if somebody walks away, that it is purged.
Correct. Yeah, great point. There are really two scenarios, right? If the Surface Hub is in a location where anyone can walk up and start using it, I would definitely want that Surface Hub configured to automatically end the session when someone walks away. So if it's in more of a public space or a group use space, maybe it's in a break room where anyone can walk up and start using it, that Surface Hub in particular might be configured to automatically end the session, which would, of course, then sign out whoever was signed in. And that would provide a much more secure experience for that type of scenario where anyone can walk up and start using it. If they walk away, but they forgot to press end session, it will automatically end the session after maybe a short amount of time where you don't have to worry about users remaining signed in. The other option is if it's in a controlled space, more of a physically controlled location where it's reservable and people understand that that space is reserved, then you might take a break and you want to come back and resume your meeting. That's where you might allow the Surface Hub to be set up to resume a previous session by that user to come back and pick up where they left off. So yeah, two different scenarios there. Definitely think about how the device is going to be used and the physical type of space where the device is going to be set up and used. If it's in an executive office, for example, then it might make sense to turn that sleep timer, really long and allow the user to resume the session so that they don't lose any work or lose any unsaved work that they were working on at home.
Joe, this is just something that I thought might be helpful. I know we're getting close to end of time, but maybe to comment on the idea of leveraging that coordinated meeting functionality just between hubs. So I think we know on one hand, very, very helpful and very mainstream, the idea of using Teams rooms, which are wildly popular, and leveraging their audio and video capabilities in a large room, but wanting to bring Surface Hub in to provide that kind of elevated next level of collaboration. So we can run applications and we have access to the whiteboard and we have browser, just all of that goodness that comes with Hub. But let's imagine a scenario. Maybe we want 2 or 3 hubs in a room, and we kind of want that experience to. I want an 85-inch hub with 2 50s, and we're doing kind of a workshop setting or.
Yeah, there's a number of different great use cases there, especially as we talk about the new normal, socially distanced meetings, where maybe we have a large enough space where we've got a large touchscreen, the Surface Hub 85, pairing that with other smaller Surface Hubs around the room so we can still be socially distanced, but have the great collaboration experience of multiple Surface Hubs. They can be configured to use coordinated join as well, so they can all be automatically brought into that same meeting, whether they're in the same room or not, and have that coordinated join experience that we had with the MTR and Surface Hub as well. So yeah, great
Wonderful.
point.
Well, I know we are close to at time.
Yeah.
So I think we're certainly there'll be a recording of this event for anyone who missed or wanted to share with colleagues. And we had some requests that came in as well. For so anything, if there's any type of follow up that anyone wants, please feel free to send that to us through the Q&A. We had someone ask for pictures of the physical connections of the ports and what the battery looks like. Maybe speak to the battery just for a moment as maybe last the idea of the mobile side with the battery. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the APC mobile battery here that goes into the shelf unit. So if I take out the keyboard and my Surface Pro here, inside the shelf, the battery sits inside here and it plugs into power and then plugs into the hub and allows the Surface Hub to be used without being physically connected to power from the back here. And now I can take this meeting and roll it into the next conference room. So say, my boss comes in here and wants to use this conference room. I can take this meeting, stay in the meeting and say, hang on guys, I'm just going to move us over to the other conference room. And then we can go into the other conference room. I can move the Surface Hub and continue the meeting right there without having to leave the meeting, unplug the Surface Hub, move it and plug it back in. I can just wheel it in there and stay in the meeting the whole time. So that mobile experience of having the Surface Hub on the cart takes that to the next level by adding the battery. And now it truly becomes a mobile meeting experience. Maybe I have this in my cubicle farm and I can move this around to different teams, agile teams as I work, and we might be in the same meeting. I say, hey, let's go talk to this team. And I just move the Surface Hub over there and then we're able to continue that meeting right from where we left off. So yeah, great point. There's a lot of different ways that we can use that and really keep that meeting fluidity and that flow going across meetings and using Surface Hub to do that with that APC battery. Yeah.
Well, I think we're at time.
Excellent. Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for joining the webinar today. That was great. I thank you all for your questions. These were really great questions. Thank you to Ryan Herbst, David Rastetter, and Megan Sossaman for helping organize this live event. Thank you all for joining, and I appreciate your time today. If you want the recording, go ahead and follow up and get that recording. We'll be sending that out to everyone that registered for this event. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to answer any questions you have about Surface Hub 2S or any any of the services as well. And we'll be happy to hear from you. So thank you all for watching. We'll go ahead and wrap it up there. And thanks you. We'll see you again next time. Thanks.